previous speaker, this is also very applicable in Africa, where we've got a more than 20% poverty rate. So I just want to add that. Now I'm going to look at the SDGs. And the SDGs, as we all know, I just want to get rid of everybody's faces here on my side. The SDGs is the Sustainable Development Goals, were developed and agreed upon by 193 countries to form the Agenda 2030 for sustainable development globally. At its heart are the 17 SDGs, which comprise of an urgent call for action by all countries in a global partnership, working together to prevent what is happening at the moment in the world. South Africa aspires to really be prosperous and self-reliant nation that safeguards the democracy by meeting the fundamental human needs of people, with very close to what the previous speaker said, by managing its ecological resources, which we have plenty of, responsible for current and future generations, and also looking at it as efficient and effective within an integrated planning solution as possible. We also rely on our regional and our global collaborations, and that's funny enough what I spoke about yesterday. Now, this ruling results in the developmental route encompassing the strategies for greater sustainable and creative use of our resources. How can we actually use it more creative, focusing on social, economic, ecological, and governance systems? The African countries not only embrace the 2030 agenda, but also staunchly headed towards the implementation of the African Union agenda, which we were part of in South Africa, the Agenda 2063. According to this, both these agreements are visions for building a more affluent Africa in 50 years. So I just want to say to you, we are trying in Africa to be also affluent. 52 African, I just want to close this, 52 African countries were actually in the 2020 Africa SDG Index, where the index scores indications a country's position between the worst and the best. And figure 1 below, this figure shows you that South Africa scores a 62.2 on the overall SDG index, which is 9th in Africa. You will see that Tunisia, Mauritius, Morocco, Algeria, Cabo Verde, Egypt, Botswana, and Ghana are the countries that are better scored than South Africa, but we are doing our best. Now, if we look at the environmental goals, sustainable goals, oops, sorry, can I just go back? I've got the wrong slideshow that I'm showing you. Sorry, can I just go back to my previous screen? I feel terrible to do this. Please forgive me for what I'm doing. Can you see it now?
We've got environmental goals, sustainability goal number 15.
Okay, yeah, have you got, can you see this one now?
Let's see now. We've still got environmental goals.
Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry about this. I've actually calculated and made sure that is this now all right? Environmental goals.
You just need to share your screen now, Dr. Bronkhorst.
Oh, I'm so sorry about this. I really practiced the whole morning to make sure that everything is fine. And now this is happening. Okay, can you see it now?
Environmental goals, sustainability development goal number 15.
Yeah, and then it shows you
protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems.
Yes.
That's the one. Okay, fantastic. Okay.
That's the one that I want to go to. Right. So SDG number 15, our sustainable development goals are from number 1 to number 17, and I'm focusing on sustainable development goal number 15, which says protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems. In other words, life on land, sustainable managed forest, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation and biodiversity. So the forest sector itself can be grouped to this SDG 15. Within this Sustainable Development Goal number 15, the target of 15.2 states that by 2020, to promote the implementation of sustainable management of all types of forest, halt deforestation, and restore degraded forest. Now, in my research philosophy that I've used was that of the interpretivist research philosophy, which is suitable for the study, where we aim looking at the analysis without making any predictions. We only analyzed what was available. This approach clarifies the important aspect within a specific context. In other words, that of the SDG 15 within the forestry sector and offer more than one reality. My design that I used was for a specific situation within a complex environment, and this made use of a detailed information which maximum content provided, the transferring to alternative studies. The context of the study was the forestry industry in South Africa, and in particular, the sustainable goals within the UN's SDG 15. So this was a parameter that I've used as the SDG 15 within South Africa. My research approach that I used was a qualitative research approach. In other words, the data collected process is specifically perceptible that we used. Consequently, please note that this accumulated data is not quantifiable because we only used secondary data. I want to show you the eucalyptus trees that I am talking about. These are the seeds for eucalyptus trees, and this is where a eucalyptus tree actually comes from. You can see that the little seeds are minute. Yet they also use grafting of seedlings to grow the forest, or this is a plantation, to actually chop down these trees for what is used as wooden products, paper, etc. Now, these trees are between the ages of 20 to 25 years old, so they grow quite quickly and quite high, and they are very suitable for what it is used. This is a log that was raked in from the plantation. You can see that most of the bark are being removed before it's sent to the sawmill on the same premises to be sawed into planks used in the industry. I'm just giving you an example of what the logs look like for exporting. All of these logs that are lying here are being exported to other countries. In South Africa, in other words, I'm just showing you the forestry. The objectives was to safeguard, preserve, protect, retrieve, and restore depleted and tainted natural resources. We did achieve that by reinstating and rehabilitation of 2,500 hectares of state plantation that was just lying without any real exploration of those plantations, the restoring and naturalization of close to 50,000 hectares of re-established indigenous forest, bringing back what's supposed to be there, going back to our woodlands, and make sure that the woodlands are still intact. There was the execution of 3 projects to sustain the renewal of an irrigation scheme specifically for forestry. The second objective of the SDG 15.2, in other words, directly at the forestry of in the world and in South Africa, was to confirm the efficient application and implementation of climate change, mitigation and adaptation plan for forestry. This we actually have already achieved last year in September 2021. And we've also got operations necessary for following the strategic framework implemented. So the conclusion is that well-managed forest can have a positive impact on biodiversity, which is Sustainable Development Goal 15. We can create income to fight poverty, SDG 1, the first goal, provide wild fruit and game to fight hunger, SDG 2, provide medical plants, SDG 3, provide fresh water for drinking and irrigation, SDG 6, and capture and store carbon, SDG 13. So we already include all of these SDGs. There is, however, the possibility of involuntary concerns as well as aimed clashes between people using the forest base either as goods and services or as one of these other SDGs that we've discussed. It is actually well known that the forest-based products lead to lower greenhouse gas emission. This may, however, result in regions that face an increased vulnerability to extreme weather events. At the moment, we in South Africa are experiencing extreme weather events that is totally unfamiliar to us. There can be rainfall and crop pollinators, SDG 2, more respiratory illnesses when there are forest fires, which we experienced 2 years ago when most of our forests actually burned down. There can be faster sedimentation of hydroelectric dams. This is also a problem, especially when we've got the drought that we have every third year in South Africa. This is one of our biggest problems. Landslides, when there are floods, as we have at the moment, and there can be a loss of coastal fishery habitats in SDG 14. So one possibility is to increase the community's control over the forest. Let them take control of their own environment. This will result in organizations as well as investors following the UN voluntary. Also, by doing this, we can also create jobs, and job creation in South Africa is one of our priorities, as our unemployment rate at the moment is 38%. So the positive impacts of sustainable forest is the governance of the land, as well as possible aid in development of the improvements of the land through our forestry. So the recommendations that we got from the study is indication of much stronger, efficient connections between development within the forest sector. And one solution is the usage of a systematic integrated assessment, where this needs to be done at macro level. This approach can be challenging, especially when the activities and the strategies of individual forest actors have to be assessed. Then the concept can be transferred to forestry in the future research. And that is all that I have to say within my 12 minutes, I think.